Welcome to the Senior College Workshop. I'm excited you're here as we begin an important year. Today we'll work through the college application process, highlight some of the major deadlines and decisions ahead, and share the resources available to support you along the way. Whether you're just beginning your college search or already have a list of schools in mind, our goal is to help you leave today with a clearer understanding of what comes next. Before we begin, I want to share one important update. This year will be a little different as I will be on maternity leave beginning in November. While I'm away, our other school counselor, Mr. Ream, will be supporting seniors and their families. You will be in excellent hands, and together we'll make sure you continue to receive the guidance and support you need throughout the college application process. With that in mind, let's start with one resource you'll want to become familiar with this year. The counseling website can be your first stop whenever you need counseling forms, information, or important updates. You'll find documents such as course change requests, the senior profile required for college recommendation letters, and outside coursework approval forms. The website is also where you'll schedule meetings with your counselor, so I encourage both students and parents to bookmark it and check it regularly throughout the year. Now that you know where to find help, let's take a look at what we'll cover today. Today, we'll focus on four main areas. First, we'll review the senior year timeline and the major milestones ahead. Next, we'll talk about how to research colleges, identify your priorities, and find schools that are a good fit. Then we'll cover the nuts and bolts of the application process, including application platforms, deadlines and essays, recommendations, and testing. Finally, we'll finish with resources, important next steps, and ways North Tahoe High School can support you throughout the year. So let's begin with the big picture, the senior timeline. Understanding the major milestones ahead can help students stay organized, reduce stress, and avoid last-minute surprises. Keep in mind that every student's timeline will look a little different. Not every student will apply to the same number of colleges, take the same tests, or follow the same deadlines. There is a general rhythm to the college application, though, and understanding that rhythm will help you plan ahead. So while every student's journey is unique, the college application process generally follows a predictable cycle. By this point, many students have already begun researching colleges through online searches, campus visits, college fairs, or conversations with family and counselors. Some have taken standardized tests, while others are still deciding whether testing is necessary for their college list. Students should also be thinking about their interests, goals, and the type of college experience they are looking for. From September through December, the focus shifts towards action. Students may request letters of recommendation, complete any remaining testing, finalize their college lists, and begin preparing and submitting applications. The key message here is simple. The earlier you get organized, the more manageable the process becomes. While applications are underway, there are several other important deadlines to keep in mind. Beginning in the fall and continuing into the spring, students and families will complete financial aid applications such as the FAFSA, the California DREAM Act, and for some colleges, the CSS profile. Students should also begin looking for scholarship opportunities. Scholarship deadlines can occur throughout the school year, so don't wait until the spring to start searching. And finally, May 1st is traditionally known as National College Decision Day. By this point, students will generally choose the college they plan to attend, submit any required statement of intent to register, and pay an enrollment deposit if required. So the timeline is important, but before students can decide where they're going, they need to determine what they're actually looking for in a college. Let's take a look at one of the most important parts of the process, finding colleges that are the right fit. That process begins with reflection. Before students start building a college list, they should first spend some time thinking about themselves. What do you want from your college experience? What environment will help you thrive? What academic opportunities are important to you? What are your priorities and what are you willing to compromise on? This reflection is important because it gives students a framework for evaluating colleges. Instead of asking, "Is this a good college?" students can begin asking a better question, which is this a good college for me? A good place to start is by identifying your needs and wants. Location and campus size are often easy places to begin. Students may already know whether they want to stay close to home or move farther away, what type of climate they prefer, or whether they would feel more comfortable on a small campus or at a large university. Students should also think about campus life. Consider clubs, athletics, dining options, residence halls, social opportunities, and the overall campus environment. And of course, academics are a major part of the equation. Look at available majors, class sizes, research and internship opportunities, study abroad programs, and other academic experiences that connect to your goals. The important thing is not to find a college that has everything, it's to identify the factors that matter most to you. As you research colleges, remember that the admissions process is a two-way street. You're evaluating whether a college is a good fit for you, and that college is evaluating whether you're a competitive applicant. Take time to review admission requirements and recent admitted student information. Look at factors such as GPA, coursework, testing policies, and other academic or extracurricular expectations. At the same time, try not to get too caught up in a college rankings or prestige. A highly recognizable name does not automatically make the college the right choice for you. Instead, ask yourself, why am I interested in this school? What does it offer that I value? And can I see myself being successful and happy there? You may discover that some of the best options for you are schools you hadn't originally considered. Once students understand their priorities, there's a simple activity that can help turn those ideas into a clearer picture. An activity that can be especially helpful is organizing your priorities into three categories: must-haves, nice-to-haves, and must-not-haves. Students can complete this independently or work through it with their families. Think about everything you've identified as important in a college experience and place those characteristics into the appropriate category. This exercise can lead to some surprisingly useful conversations. You may discover that something you originally thought was essential isn't actually that important, or that something you hadn't considered is actually a major priority. Once those priorities are clear, students can begin building a college list that reflects both their interests and their academic profile. Once students have identified schools that match their priorities, the next step is creating a balanced college list. A balanced list considers both fit and admission likelihood. The first category is expected or safety schools. These are colleges where a student's academic profile is comfortably above the typical admitted student profile and where admission is reasonably likely. These schools can also be valuable financially. Highly qualified students may be considered for merit scholarships, so a safety school can sometimes become an especially attractive option. The second category is target schools. These are colleges where a student's academic profile is generally similar to that of a recently admitted student. Admission is possible, but it's not 100% guaranteed. The final category is reach schools. These are colleges where a student's academic profile falls below the typically admitted student profile, making admission less predictable. Reach schools can also include colleges that are extremely selective overall, such as Ivy League institutions or schools with very low admission rates. Remember that selectivity can vary by major. Programs such as nursing, engineering, business, and the performing arts may be significantly more competitive than the university as a whole. A college that looks like a target based on its overall admission rate could be a reach for a particularly competitive program. As a general guideline, students should consider 1 to 3 safety schools, 3 to 5 target schools, and 1 to 3 reach schools. The goal is not simply to have a certain number of colleges. The goal is to create a list that gives you a realistic but exciting number of options when admissions decisions arrive. Once you have that list, the next challenge is keeping everything organized. Organization is one of the most important skills students can develop during the college application process. I recommend creating a spreadsheet that allows you to track the colleges you're considering and the requirements for each one. Some useful categories include college name, location, intended major, estimated cost, application platform, application deadline, recommendation requirements, essay requirements, testing policies, and scholarship deadlines. You can add any other information that is important to your family as well. Having everything in one place makes it much easier to compare colleges, prioritize tasks, and make sure nothing falls through the cracks. Fortunately, students don't have to build their college research system from scratch. There are several tools available to help. North Tahoe High School provides every student with access to SCORE through their Clever account. SCORE is our primary platform for college research and for managing several parts of the application process. It is also where counselors support students with transcripts and other application-related tasks. Students should add the colleges they're considering to SCORE so that counselors can provide the appropriate support throughout the application process. Students can also use College Board's Big Future as an additional tool for researching and comparing colleges. These resources can make the college search more organized and efficient. Once you've researched your colleges and built your list, it's time to move from where do I want to apply to how do I actually apply. Let's turn our attention to the application process itself. We'll look at the different application platforms students may encounter, the major components of an application, and some best practices for completing everything successfully. Let's start with the application platforms. There are several application platforms students are likely to encounter. The first is the Common Application, often called the Common App. It is used by many private and out-of-state colleges. Students create one account, add the colleges they're interested in, and can reuse many portions of their application across multiple schools. The second type is a college-specific application. Some colleges require students to apply directly through the school's website. In that case, students will create a separate account and complete an application specifically for that college. The third type includes the application systems used by the California's public universities. The University of California, or UC, has its own application, and the California State University, or CSU, has its own separate application as well. Similar to the Common App, students can create one account and use it to apply to multiple campuses within each of these systems. One important thing to remember is that using one application platform does not necessarily mean there is one application fee. Each college may have its own fee. If you qualify for the free or reduced lunch program, we strongly encourage you to complete the district's application each year. Eligibility may help students qualify for application fee waivers, testing fee waivers, and other college-related benefits. Once students know which applications they'll be using, the next question is, when do I need to submit them? Colleges may offer several different admission plans. Each one comes with its own rules and deadlines. The first four we'll discuss are generally non-binding, meaning students are not committing to attend a college simply by applying. The first, regular decision, these deadlines typically fall between December and February. Students can submit their applications by the college's stated deadline and then wait for an admission decision. Rolling admission works a little differently. Applications may open as early as August, and students can submit their applications throughout the admissions window. Colleges will review these applications as they are received, so applying earlier can sometimes be beneficial. Some colleges continue accepting applications into the spring, depending on available space. Early action allows students to apply earlier and receive an admission decision earlier, but it is generally non-binding. Deadlines typically fall between October and November. If a student is deferred, the application may also be reconsidered during the regular decision process. Restrictive early action is also non-binding, but it comes with additional restrictions about where students can apply under other early admission plans. Because the rules vary by college, students should carefully review the specific requirements before choosing this option. And finally, there is early decision, which is different because it is binding. A helpful way to remember early decision is to focus on the word decision. When a student applies early decision, they are saying, if I am admitted, this is the college I plan to attend. Students and their families sign an agreement confirming that commitment. If the student is admitted, they are expected to withdraw their other applications and enroll at that college. Because early decision is binding, families should think carefully about the financial implications before applying. Make sure you understand the college's estimated cost, financial aid policies, and any other available net price information. Early decision can be a strategic option for some students, but it should only be used when the student is certain that the college is their first choice and the family is comfortable with that commitment. Now that we've covered the application itself and deadlines, let's look at what students actually have to put into these applications. One typical application component is the activities section. There is an important exception for our students because the CSU application does not require students to list their activities. The UC application and Common application both require students to document their activities, but they organize that information differently. On the UC application, students can report activities in 4 categories: awards and honors, extracurricular activities, community service, and work experience. Students can enter up to 20 activities across these categories with 350 characters available for each entry. The Common application provides only 10 spaces for activities and 5 additional spaces for awards and honors, with 150 characters available for each activity description. Because space is limited, students should be strategic. They don't need to list every single thing they've ever done. Prioritize activities where you've demonstrated leadership, invested significant time, made a meaningful contribution, or developed skills connected to your interests and goals. The goal is to give colleges a meaningful picture of how you've spent your time outside the classroom. And while the activities section shows colleges what you've done, the very next component we'll talk about gives you an opportunity to show them who you are. The essay section gives students an opportunity to share their personality, experiences, and individual voice. Again, the CSU application does not require an essay, while both the UC application and Common application do. For the UC application, students complete 4 personal insight questions, choosing from 8 available prompts. Each response should be between 250 and 350 words. The Common application requires 1 personal essay, typically around 650 words. Think of these essays as an opportunity to tell colleges something about you that they cannot learn simply by looking at the transcript or activities list. What do you want a college to understand about your character, experiences, perspective, or goals? Parents, teachers, and counselors can absolutely help students brainstorm and provide feedback. But the ideas, voice, and final writing should belong to the student. Another component that some colleges require is a letter of recommendation. As part of the college research process, students should determine whether each college requires letters of recommendation, and if so, who needs to provide them. Requirements may vary by college. Some private and out-of-state colleges may require teacher recommendations, counselor recommendations, or both. Some may also have specific requirements based on the student's intended program or major. The UC and CSU applications do not require teacher or counselor recommendations. If a college does require one, students should begin by completing their senior profile. The senior profile asks students to reflect on their high school experience and share information they would like their recommender to know. This helps a recommender write a more specific and meaningful letter. Once the senior profile is complete, students should identify the teachers or counselors they would like to ask. They should then personally speak to each recommender if they are willing to write a letter. When you make the request, provide the application deadline and a completed copy of your senior profile. We strongly recommend giving recommenders at least 1 month notice, with 2 weeks being the absolute minimum. And remember to thank your recommender. A sincere thank you goes a long way. To ensure students obtain a counselor recommendation prior to when my maternity leave begins, please keep in mind that the deadline for students to share their senior profile with me and to request a letter is October 5th. If you're using the Common application, there is one additional step you'll encounter when managing recommendations, and it's called the FERPA. FERPA stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It is a federal law that gives students and parents certain rights regarding educational records. When completing the FERPA section of the Common application, students will be asked to acknowledge these rights and decide whether they want to waive their right to view letters of recommendation. We strongly recommend that students do waive their right to view their recommendation. Doing so means that the recommendation remains confidential between the recommender and the college. Confidential recommendations are generally viewed as more credible because the recommender can provide an honest assessment without the expectation that the student will read the letter. Students should understand that once they waive this right, they will not be able to access the recommendation letter later. We've now covered many of the major pieces of an application. One final piece that students need to consider is standardized testing. College testing policies vary. Some colleges require SAT or ACT scores for admission, while others may use scores for purposes such as course placement or scholarship consideration. When a college accepts test scores, students can generally choose the SAT or ACT based on which test is a better fit for them. If a college requires or recommends test scores, make sure you understand exactly what the college requires and when scores need to be submitted. The testing deadline may be different from the application deadline. Students can register for the SAT through collegeboard.org or through the ACT through act.org. If you plan to test in the fall, registering early gives you more options for test dates and locations. One helpful resource is fairtest.org, which provides information about college testing policies. When researching a college, don't just ask, is the college test optional? Instead, find out exactly how the college uses test scores. A college may be test blind, meaning it does not consider SAT or ACT scores in admission decisions. A college may be test optional, meaning students can choose whether to submit their scores. Or colleges may consider scores for purposes such as course placement or scholarship eligibility, even if the scores are not required for admission. Testing policies can vary from college to college and can change, so students should always verify the current policy directly with each college. For our California public universities, the UC and CSU systems currently do not use the SAT or ACT scores for admissions decisions. For many families, the cost of applications and testing can be an important consideration. There are opportunities for eligible students to receive application and testing fee waivers based on financial need. When completing college applications, students may encounter questions about financial need or eligibility for fee waivers. Eligible students may also qualify for SAT or ACT fee waivers. One of the best ways for North Tahoe High School to support students with these opportunities is for you to have a current district free and reduced lunch price application on file. We encourage families who may qualify to complete the district's application each year. Eligibility must be reviewed annually in order to continue receiving benefits. If you're unsure whether your family qualifies or not, please reach out to me with your questions. At this point, we've covered a lot of information, so let's bring everything together with a few practical strategies for completing the process successfully. Before submitting an application, there are a few simple habits that can make a big difference. First, review everything carefully. Check each section for accuracy and completeness, and make sure essays and written responses are polished. It's a good idea to write a first draft of your essays independently before asking someone else for feedback. That allows your own ideas and voice to come through first. Second, pay close attention to deadlines. Keep track of application deadlines, scholarship deadlines, testing requirements, and any documents that need to be submitted separately. Third, be honest and accurate. Your application should represent your actual experiences, accomplishments, and interests. And finally, check your email and college admission portals regularly. Even after you submit an application, a college may request additional information or documents. Submitting the application is not necessarily the end of the process. Staying organized and responding promptly is just as important. And that brings us to one of the most important pieces of advice we can give students. College is a big next step, and we want students to take ownership of the process. Parents and families play an important role by providing encouragement, helping students stay organized, and asking thoughtful questions. This being said, the student should remain the primary driver of the college search and application process. Students should be the ones communicating with counselors and recommenders, tracking deadlines, completing applications, and communicating with colleges. These are important skills to develop before heading to college, where students will be responsible for navigating many of these things independently. Think of the college application process not just as a way to get into college, but as an opportunity to practice becoming the independent adult they're preparing to be. North Tahoe High School has many resources available to support students and families throughout this process. You have access to your counselors, the counseling website, college research tools, application support, and individual meetings to help you navigate the process. We encourage you to use these resources and perhaps most importantly, ask questions early. If you're confused about a deadline, unsure about a requirement, or don't know what your next step should be, reach out before the deadline is approaching. Our goal is to help you feel informed and prepared, not overwhelmed. One of the best opportunities to receive individualized support is your individual learning plan meeting. This meeting is an opportunity to connect with me, share where you are in the college search process, brainstorm college options, review your plans, and identify your next steps. Come prepared with questions, and if you have them, a list of colleges you're considering. Your ILP meeting is a chance to make the college process specific to you and create a plan for moving forward. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to support you through this next chapter, and I wish you all the best as you begin this exciting year.